So now that I'm thinking about Ice Jigs, I'm back at the bench looking at the collection of ice dub and ice chenille and flashes and tinsels that I use regularly, mainly on Ice Jigs. Today we're going to do a little show and tell. Stay tuned. So I'm back at the bench today, and as I just mentioned, we're tying Ice Jigs. I was going through my boxes. I was looking for a particular type of chenille. It's more of a crystal yarn that is really popular, and I wanted to do some bodies on jigs that were 160 and 190, real tiny jigs. And I didn't want the longer chenille. I wanted the body to be more in proportion to the jig itself, to the jig head. So as I'm looking through the boxes, I dug up a bunch of different dubbing, ice dub, different chenilles, crystal yarns, the Danville chenille that I use most often, and thought I would just do a quick little show and tell. So I'll switch this over and we'll get that in place. And let's remove the vise. We're not going to tie anything today for this. So the first thing, and has been kind of a go-to for me the last few years, I just enjoy using it so much, is the dubbing. That's perfect for ice fishing. Of course, most of these dubbings were first made for fly fishing and doing the bodies for the larva and the pupa, the underwater type flies. And I think the sparkle creates the illusion of that air bubble that a lot of the larvae have, as they're under the rocks and whatnot. So one of the first ones that I grabbed specifically for ice fishing is the Ice Dub, which is by Hairline. The colors are amazing. They have pretty much every color you can imagine. So here in this box, I'm going to, starting at this corner and just working our way across, Peacock, UV Light Olive, UV Black, UV Shrimp, UV Red, Olive Brown, starting at this corner, Olive, Chartreuse, UV Pearl, Caddis Green, Orange, and Pearl. I love using the UV colors on the Ice Jigs. Glow heads are real popular, and that's something else we'll maybe talk about in a future video, as there's threads and yarns and all sorts of things to help make your jigs glow. Another similar dubbing is the Larva Lace, and I've used these before. A lot of nice metallic-y type dubbing, just like the Hairline Ice Dub. A couple other examples in the dubbing category, and this is by no means in a complete list of companies. It just happened to be some of the things that I have in my collection. Here's more Larva Lace, the holographic dubbing, and I have a few of these. This is also the Larva Lace holographic dubbing, and again the holographic dubbing. Larva Lace makes so many fun products to tie with, but the Larva Lace dubbing, nice and thin, very, very, very fine, tinsely dubbing. Also in that dubbing category, I would add is the Bunny Bright dubbing. And this is a product by Orvis. And this one's quite old, this pack. As you can tell, price tag on it's $2.95. But this is, they call it just yellow. It's the Bunny Bright dubbing, number 70 yellow. But as you can tell, it also has that darker, sparkly, metallic look to it. So another real nice dubbing that I like using on small jigs particularly. Another very popular body material, and this is a sparkle braid by White River. A bunch of companies make these. It's a cord like chenille, though it's just the cord itself, which has the sparkle through it. It's fairly stretchy in the way that it's woven like a tube. And other alternatives, what do I have here? I've used this product for many years. Here's an example of old universal vise, and they called it tinsel yarn. Same idea. And you can get this in so many different colors. Red, gold, green, blue. I have a full bag here with just so many different colors. Most of this is the old universal vise product, but then you can also find the same thing craft shops. And this, I think either Walmart or maybe a Joann's Fabrics or Michael's. This is the Fiesta, but it's the same thing. It's the tinsel braid that works really well on tiny jigs. If we get any bigger than 160, to me those braids start to look a little thin, and you want to go with a chenille, maybe a medium size. So talking about the chenilles, the crystal flashes that are pretty popular. This is crystal chenille. I've used this on a jig recently in a video that I tied earlier. Crystal chenille, very similar product is the Ice Chenille from Hairline, and again any color. Crystal braid, another very similar chenille. Here's some universal vise Ice Chenille, and this is a no-name brand. Fibers on this are kind of interesting. This chenille, and I'm not sure who makes this. It seems like a combination of the Ice Chenille and maybe a regular Antron chenille, because it's got a little bit of length to it. It still is a medium size, but it looks a little bit longer to me. So chenilles are fun to play with, particularly for ice fishing, and we use these on summertime fish as well. If we're tying jigs for crappie and bluegill and perch, though not as often because we're using hairs and hackles. Lastly, what I wanted to show, and of course just an old favorite, which there are so many different colors of crystal chenille, of crystal flash, of sparkle chenille, whatever you want to call it. And I just end up buying the chenille and skeins. These mostly, there's a few manufacturers that make these. I like to get mine from Danville Chenille Company. Here's just a gold medium size chenille. It's Danville labels this as a size 2. It's a medium size, which is the basic size that you'd use on most jigs. If you want to add a little bit of bulk, you just add a couple layers. And it comes in so many different colors. Red, here's a blue, and I have green, silver, there's a copper color, which is great for ice fishing. So this is by no means an exhausted list of the types of flash that you can add to your ice jigs. So that's just a quick little video, kind of a show and tell. And it most certainly was unplanned. I had the cameras on, we were tying some other jigs, but as I had all the materials out, what I wanted to do was just kind of show the large selection of flash that you can add to jigs. I was a little surprised, over the years. I have materials that I use regularly, and then there's those materials that I used for one or two projects that get squirreled away, and I dig them out just as I think of them for only very specific jigs. So that's just a brief glimpse. It's just a small amount from my collection. The things that tires hoard over the years, but what I use to add flash to my ice jigs. If you have any questions on what we did here today, and if you have any favorites, the flash material that you use, both for your summertime, but particularly for those ice jigs, put some comments down below. As always, like and subscribe so you don't miss any new content. And until next time, guys, keep tying tight lines.